Yeah.
Um, would you mind introducing yourself and just tell me a little bit about your case, how you ended up in federal prison?
Yeah, my name's Hayth Brewbaker, and in the years leading up to the year 2000, I robbed a bank 3 times, and as comical as it may seem now, it was very serious to all my friends and family. But I received 18 years, 4 months in federal prison, and wound up doing 16 years almost to the day in various federal prisons from um, started in Atlanta, in transit, moved to Ashland, Kentucky. From there, Gilmer, West Virginia. And from there to the North Carolina system at Butner, and visited three three of their units from the low to the medium high
Right.
in that time, and left from the medium high in 2016.
Yeah, it seems like you missed the changes that have kind of been in the works with the Federal Bureau of Prisons for the last 5 or 6 years. So you didn't receive any kind of benefit or anything. You just did, other than the old good time.
Yep. I got like the whatever it was, 47 days a year. They
Right.
were fighting for the calculation to be corrected.
Right. That was done
54.
under the Trump's First Step Act did
Yeah.
that. So I think you were already home for 4 or 5 years before that even came into play.
Yeah.
So I guess people that are watching this family and first time offenders that are looking at self surrendering and their family members are probably overwhelmed, just like me and you were when we were facing our sentences. Can you kind of talk about what it was like going in as a young white kid and
It's
the
definitely that greatest moment of apprehension when you realize that you have turned a corner that you can't do a U-turn from and go back to your normal life. You are on a path, and you're gonna have to see that path through,
All right.
no matter what may come. And it gives you a stark realization of what the value of your life, your family, your friends, everything that you see um, of value to you, whether it be personal property or whether it be your connections and relationships. All that is poof, and you are now property of a uniform system. And
So what were some of the things that some of the skills you developed to cope with all that time while you're in custody?
definitely, I took a lot of classes, read a lot, like most people, but some people read to um, for diversion or leisure, and I read for education.
Right.
I wanted to know things about why are there prisons, why does society need a prison to function,
Right.
and you're going to come up with really good answers that help me settle my heart and realizing that if you walk on this side of the line, this is the direction it takes you, and that system's in a place because we all love our mothers, our sisters, our grandparents, our kids, and they're safe to walk around out in society because they have a place for people that don't want to follow the rules.
Right.
And when you realize all that, it helps you to deal with the various personalities, the various income gradations you're going to see in prison. You're going to have everybody's wearing the same clothes. So you don't know whether somebody's a multi-billion-dollar Bernie Madoff kind of guy or a, corner of the hood, scam artist.
Right.
And so you really you get to learn a lot about people by walking the walk. And like you say, one of the greatest things I learned was you got to learn how to say no from the very beginning because everybody wants something from you. Staff wants something from you. Inmates want something from you. And if you don't cultivate your own space for thought, for living, then people are going to walk all over it. They're going to step all in your room. They're going to step all on your mind space. And once you determine that, hey, they've assigned me this little 8x12, and this is where I'm going to do my time. And the more physically fit you are, the better you feel. The more mentally fit you are, the better chances you can see the door at the end of whatever long road you have.
Right.
Um, and spiritually fit is something that you need just to overcome the concrete assailment of the stimulus. You're removed from any color stimulus, any wood, a tree, anything that gives you life or a vibration of life is removed. So you're in steel, you're in concrete, and you're around a bunch of people that aren't happy to be there. So
Right.
if you don't settle your spirit, then the same thing's going to happen. They're going to intrude on that as well.
You were you just made kind of a good point that I always want to emphasize with clients. Um, we create a buffer by you're saying use the word no, or creating your own space. But the other thing that like I see that helps with that is like compartmentalizing your day with activities. And that's what you're saying. You have, aspect of, taking care of your physical health, taking care of your mental health, and being active like that, from my experience, kind of guaranteed you that you would be around the most positive people in prison. If you're stimulating your mind and education, if you're out exercising, you tend to avoid the people, that are watching TV, arguing over what channel TV's on all day, or wasting all their time playing poker, whatever. So what was like a typical day for you? Like a good, if you, when you went to bed and you feel like you accomplished something in prison, what would that usually take? What would take place?
Definitely wake up, and it's almost like military because PT, if you get your exercise first thing in the morning, two things. One, while everybody else is sleeping in or moping around, you're getting your brain active, you're getting your blood flowing, you're feeling good. And that bit of positivity that's injected into your life through exercise in the morning carries you through a lot of difficult situations, because where other guys, they're not only mentally struggling with the situation, they're letting their bodies degrade, and so they are feeling bad physically. And then whatever kind of interaction you have, I stepped on a guy's shoe one time, got to get in line for this and that, and he has a horrible reaction to it. And being positive and being awake and being seeing the door at the end of the road, it's easy to say, hey, look, my extreme apology, and not get flustered by it and get into an altercation
Right.
because of that simple thing of getting up and just moving your body, keeping
Right.
your flexibility. um, that's one of those things that weighs heavily inside and out, but you learn it a lot inside because that concrete is hard, and if you
Right.
don't keep your body in check, it'll rot you away.
So, uh, for the study, was most of your study just on independent, finding books and doing independent study? Did you ever take advantage of any of the, VT or any other programs that any of your prisons
Yeah,
offered?
I sailed through those classes. Pretty much anything they offered that was of interest, I would take, and a lot of times that would propel you into other avenues or advancement of that same idea.
Right.
Um, Trying to think. One thing I really missed out on was the vocational electrical schooling at Butner, because I had some buddies that were doing it, and I was always putting it off. Like, yeah, I'll do that next year because I'm not close enough to getting out.
Right.
But all those guys got those electrical degrees or whatever it is,
Yeah.
certification.
When I first came in, they were actually letting guys go all the way to testing for their masters. I think they cut it back to like journeyman's at
Yeah, journeyman's was
yeah,
in.
at Beckley. But absolutely, and I think that like even if you're not fully interested in whatever like the VT classes are offering or whatnot, it's good to just get in there, because those are some of the most helpful people that work for the BOP. And like we had a guy, Mr. Clemens, that was at Beckley, and he would do anything for you. So if you got in there and you know applied yourself to his classes, he would let you come and do your own freestyle stuff and find other teaching materials for you.
Yeah.
And
And
so
sometimes they find out your aptitudes and they put you in charge of teaching a class. I did Spanish. I got into Spanish heavily, and once they found that out, then they were always begging me to come do bilingual classes, or translate for people and stuff like this. And that was just an avenue for more learning. It was give you that interaction that you need to further, and it keeps you in, like you were saying, positive atmospheres. Not caught up in the everyday rigmarole. You're actually furthering yourself, and the staff sees that. So when there are problems, then they single you out. I had staff regularly say, you know what, this guy's on a positive path. We're going to take him out of this altercation and put him over here. put you in a different area, or just have a little bit of leniency in dealing with you. And,
Another thing that I really want to emphasize with clients is that prison doesn't have to be completely negative. You can do something positive with it, and you can reach a point where you leave and feel like your life wasn't completely wasted. So you just illustrated a point with yourself, one of your biggest accomplishments while you were in there, becoming completely fluent. So how has that translated since you got out? What have you been able to do with that? How's it helped?
um, 300 something million people speak English. The same 350 million people quantity speak Spanish. So just alone that ability to communicate with a whole nother country full of people, which there's a lot of people here in the US now that speak Spanish, and some of them don't speak English or don't speak very well. So to be able to bridge those gaps, whether it be in a social situation, a work situation, I do construction. So there's a lot of times when the drywaller can't, someone can't explain to the drywaller or the plumber or the whoever, the worker is, and it bridges that gap and opens doors, and it creates a better community in a work environment. It creates a better community in my social life, because when I go out with my wife and my kids, there's times we go to Spanish speaking restaurants, and uh, we get blessed by the favor of knowing the language. So it's man, I can't count how many times it's opened doors for me, even in post release. I had a DUI case from before my incarceration, and I could never get it settled while I was incarcerated. No matter how many letters, phone calls, everything, they were like, "You just got to wait till you get out." And I had to go take a like 10-hour driving assessment or alcohol assessment test before I could go further. I saw the lady's last name, and I happened to ask, "Se habla español?" And she's like, "Claro que sí." She was from Spain. And we got into a conversation, and she went as far as to call my prison case manager and find out that I'd done the 40-hour drug class in prison, done all these things that satisfied the requirement, and was able to receive credit for it and didn't have to spend like $300 in taking these classes just to get my driver's license back post release, and all because I spoke Spanish. And
Right.
I reflect on that because a lot of people, and I think you played a good bit of guitar in prison. And I picked up a guitar when I first got in because it's very comforting, soothing to be able to use your skills and make music and have that vibe around you when you just pick up a guitar. But I started looking at it as I was playing guitar, and I said, you know what? If I play this guitar for 16 years, there's no way I'm gonna get out and be a rock star.
Right.
You know, I might make people happy at a bar or at a social function, but I don't foresee me getting, becoming a viable part of the music community with that. But spending that time studying Spanish, reading, writing, speaking Spanish, I I have been blessed by it innumerable amount of times. It's just
What you're
constant.
everything the you're giving off a vibe right now that like is really important, and I want like anybody that's facing prison to like be infected by it, because we have this problem in our society that like we're just infected by a victim mentality,
Yep.
and it's like so bad in the prison system. It doesn't matter if you know you're 100% guilty. It's still the DA's fault, the U.S. attorney's fault. It's the rat's fault that puts you in here. It's the
Yeah.
your cheating woman that was stressing you out, made you go
Yep.
cut corners and make money for or whatever. And people rarely like own their lives. And if you want to turn prison into like a successful enterprise, if you want to come out feeling like your life wasn't wasting in there, first you have to own all that. And then the
Yep.
second, you have to realize that you have some power. And if you rely on like staff to fix you or to, get you qualified, like with your little with GED classes or whatever they're offering, like you're missing the whole point. I feel like if you want to live a meaningful life, you have to like empower yourself by finding something to do here. And
Self-driven.
and you're given a good example of that. And the reason that I really want to emphasize this point is I'd like for you to talk about your reentry experience as far as what the BOP did to help you. I'm familiar with it, and I know that this is like a recurring thing for inmates in North Carolina, what they go through because of lack of halfway house space.
Yeah.
So could you explain what you went through? And then I think that would even illustrate even more importantly how, Spanish helped you and how your drive helped you to get on your feet when you got out. But can you
Yeah.
explain what happened, like as far as halfway house situation and that type of thing?
Yeah. Post release, I believe I received 3 months halfway house, and
After doing how long again?
after 16 years.
Right.
And there was all at the time there was talk of year in the halfway house and all this kind of stuff. And I was supposed to get like a minimum of 6 months, but when it all washed out, they were like, "You got 3 months, and this is your release date." And I learned a long time ago with the BOP and in prison in general, they run a tight ship, and they have commandments, and it is what it is, to use a colloquial phrase. But you're not changing their their determination. You can fight it, and a lot of times it's just going to make it worse. And if you settle yourself with it and step out there and say, you know what, I got 3 months, what can I do with 3 months? Well, I got to get a driver's license and a job. So that sounds like about enough time to get that straight. And a lot of people don't realize what you need to reacclimate to society. And I'd probably say after at least 10 years, you're gonna have some sticker shock, if you will, when you first walk out, and everything has changed so much. For me, I missed the whole cell phone era,
Right.
where from when I left, it was a little Nokia phone with a caller ID screen, and when I got out, everybody's sitting there with their heads down in this smart screen. So get to the halfway house and everybody's worried about getting a phone, or getting to see their lady, or getting back into their whatever addiction of choice was. But to me, just like I did a lot of my time, I try to get my sleep, I try to get my PT, my physical training every day, and I just went out there and did the best I could. I found my first job by going out and just applying to jobs. It doesn't matter if that job suited my lifestyle choice or what I wanted to be. And, I applied at a Family Dollar, which was right up the street from the halfway house, because it was going out and doing what I was supposed to do, apply to so many jobs. While I'm in there, a lady walks by, looking at me. I think she knows me, but I had to get used to people looking at me with all my hair. And she asked me, she says, "Hey, you looking for a job?" And I was like, "Yes." She's like, "Well, why don't you come work for me?" I said, "Well, what do you do?" She's like, "I'm a real estate um, agent, and I manage a lot of rental properties, and I need a handyman kind of guy." And I was like, "Well, I just got out of prison." And she's like, "Do you have a car?" I was like, "Yep, right out there." She's like, "Do I have to sign some paperwork or something to get you a car?" I was like, "Probably so." She's like, "All right, can you bring it to me tomorrow?" I was like, "Yeah." And from that due diligence of mine, just going out and just applying yourself to the task, good things come. That job turned into, a year later, working for a trim company that did high-end trim in beach houses and million-dollar homes. And that turned into running my own business, because I got enough tools and I got enough knowledge to go forth from there. So now I'm self-sustaining, because I was willing to humble myself and apply for a job at a Family Dollar.
Right.
And so whatever people's inclinations are, my only advice is, stay driven, stay going forward. If you let the situation get you down, they only give you this much time in halfway house, or you didn't get this and you were due this, man, just deal with it, go
Stop
with
being
it,
a
make,
stop being a victim. Really. And,
yes. And
you know, I think if I wanted to say like one thing like inspired me and kind of motivated my entire sentence, it was the serenity prayer.
yep.
Accept what you can't change and change what you can, and try to be smart enough to figure out which is which,
Yep.
and it's really empowering. It like you're not going to have the ability to make the BOP do what you want them to do. You're not going to make them let you out of there any sooner than the judge tells them to,
Yep.
but it doesn't mean you're powerless. And a lot of it has to do with attitude. And I think that I think we've been able to capture how your attitude and, got you through your incarceration in the most positive way possible. So I appreciate you sitting down with me today. I definitely want to get you on here again, but
Yeah.
anyway, I'll
Like,
see if we can go ahead.
well, I'd like to share one more analogy with you because it's something that a lot of people don't think about in the duration of time. But some people are into weights, lifting weights,
Right.
and people are always shooting for the moon. They want to see what their max is. What's my max bench and everything? Well, if you look at incarceration, like working out, and if you're consistent, and just think about, they tell you, in court, you get 188 months, and you're trying to rationalize that. You're trying to work it out. How many years is that? How many is this? And then if you think about working out and you take your workout and you add 5 pounds of resistance each month, all right, it's not a lot, but if you stay consistent, you work out every day, you add that 5 pounds. If you do 188 months, you're going to be in the 1,000 pound club by the time you get out. And that works with your spirit, that works with your physical, and that works with your education. So that's one of the things that it stayed forthright in my mind, was like, just add a little bit every month. Just put something on your plate that you can digest, that you can lift, you can keep moving forward, and don't let a couple rainy cloudy days ruin your perceived summer that's on the way.
Yep. All right, man. I appreciate you sitting down with me. So,
Most definitely. I thank you for having me.
all right, take care.
Yeah, but